Hey, it's Carl from carcoart.com and sidehustleartist.com. In this video, you'll discover a 3-step formula on how to write a good artist statement, and you'll also discover the things you must avoid when writing your artist statement. And we'll also address the how long should your artist statement be question as well. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll be able to hit the ground running and you'll be able to start writing your own artist statement. Or if you've already written your artist statement, you'll have some additional tips to use to revise your existing artist statement. So let's first look at what is an artist statement. Now, there is no doubt that the actual work an artist produces is his or her ultimate testimony to their vision and their purpose. However, there's something quite alluring about an artist who has a definitive explanation for what they do, why and how they actually do it. That's why an artist statement, it could be considered to be the decoding document that summarizes your artwork. Some artists, they struggle with how to write an artist statement, and I know certainly I did in the beginning, and when I first wrote it off as unnecessary and pretentious crap. But that was because my initial reference point was from some artists who had really long-winded over explanations, and to read them was about as exciting as chewing on sandpaper. So I didn't have a very good association with the principle of having an artist statement. However, as I discovered along the way, your artist statement doesn't mean you have to come up with some far out philosophical poem. You just need to be authentic, honest, and specific. And the right words, they can actually be really powerful. And an artist statement could be summarized as a written deed or verbal illustration that clearly explains the motives, inspiration, influences, and overall philosophy behind the artist and his or her work. But it's not all about explaining what you do just so the public will understand. There is something fundamentally unique about having an artist statement. It's actually a personal endorsement to your position as an artist and to your creative vision. So how important is having an artist statement? Well, the most basic explanation that I can provide is that by having an artist statement, it shows you are excited about your work. It shows that you're serious about what you do, and it provides you with a point of difference as well. Having an artist statement is not as important as the work that you actually produce, but from a marketing perspective, it is a very effective alternative of communicating to your audience. And if you think about it, your physical work captures the public's attention visually and emotionally, whereas your statement, it captures people's attention on a theoretical level. An artist statement is much like an invitation into your world as an artist. And it's an invitation that many onlookers want to accept, but they can only do so if you make it easily accessible. And what I mean is that if there's any element of confusion from your audience, they will have reservations about wanting to inquire further into your work. Now, your artist statement is also a great reference for when you submit art for exhibits or to galleries, because it helps them understand and appreciate the direction that you're heading as an artist. And when I first started exhibiting, I used to get a lot of questions about my work, and at the time I was still discovering my path, so I didn't always have a solid answer, but I began to notice that people were asking the same questions just in different ways. And eventually I came up with an answer that summarized the basis of these inquiries, and I used it in my artist statement. I even noticed one lady nodding her head slowly as she read my statement, which was positioned next to my work. And her body language was saying, yeah, I was just about to ask about that, and here it is. So one good Kickstarter for you may be to simply address common questions people have asked at your exhibits and incorporate the answers into your artist statement. So what is the best approach to writing an artist statement? Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to stop the mind noise buzzing around in your head and try to not overanalyze. One of the biggest frustrations an artist has with creating their artist statement is this fear that they will not be able to give their work the justice it deserves in a word format. And part of this problem is because they are concerned that they'll be pigeonholed, or they'll pigeonhole themselves unintentionally by not being able to completely express their world as an artist with words. And there is no need to be concerned that you'll be misinterpreted, criticized, or judged by your artist statement if you simply apply a little confidence when you begin to write it all down. Now, if you can control those fears, then you'll avoid writing too much and looking like a fake. The thing is, you avoid these fears. What happens is you may end up using too much jargon if you don't get over the fears, and you really need to avoid the jargon. And you can also be susceptible to writing too much, which of course is overcompensating, and it simply dilutes your message. A really good point to remember when writing your artist statement is to write it so a 12-year-old will be able to understand it clearly. So in other words, the more clearly and less artsy you can be with your artist statement, the more interest you'll capture, because you'll be catering to a wide audience. Another thing to consider is the tone of your statement. It should be conversational, and it doesn't need to be formal or sound official. In terms of what you should try and avoid, well, it's a good idea to avoid using cliche creative explanations as well. And what I mean by that is to avoid using words like creative, passionate, emerging artist, or original. Also, avoid using weak explanations of your work, like I'm trying to, or words like attempting to, and use stronger proactive or action words like investigation, examination, and questioning. An artist statement is not about trying to impress people. Its purpose is simply to welcome your audience and present the foundation of you as an artist. Also, try not to tell people what they will see in your art. I've always felt it's not really our responsibility as an artist to coach them or inform them on how they should respond or interpret your artwork. Your statement does not need to be fixed or permanent either. In other words, you don't really need to write an artist statement to encompass your whole body of work. So for example, I create new art statements for each exhibit, and I find it a lot easier to create statements around each series of work I produce. And this could be the same case for you, because you're constantly evolving and creating new work. You may prefer to create variations of your art statement for each exhibit or series of work that you actually produce. So now that you have a cohesive understanding as to the principles of having an artist statement, how do you put it all together? Okay, so here is a formula you can use to start writing your own artist statement. The most important principle is to make sure that whatever you come up with, that it has your you branding stamp. And the best place to start with that is step one. The first paragraph is the what. So consider addressing things like what you believe to be true, or where you came from, or your discovery, or your personal challenge or adversity. And you can even use a combination of two of those, like say using what you believe to be true and your personal challenge. And step two, the second paragraph, is the how. So consider incorporating how you use what you believe to be true, how your personal challenge is, how where you came from is, how your discovery or adversity is driving or advancing you to question or investigate as an insider as well as an outsider, and then incorporate the action you take or process that you use. Now, I mention as an insider and an outsider because it shows that you're actively considering your own view and interpretation as well as your audience's. It kind of sounds like an invitation into your work and an invitation into their world as well, so to speak. It's not critical, but it's worth considering. Now, the thing is, you ideally only want to write no more than 200 words or 2 paragraphs. Now, this doesn't mean you only ever write 200 words. What I mean is if this is the first time that you've written an artist statement, or you need to readdress an existing artist statement that you're not happy with, stick to the 200 word principle and add as much impact into just 2 paragraphs. By all means, as you advance in your art career, you can add more and be more descriptive. But remember, we are simply trying to make significant progress as quickly as we can without getting bogged down in all the complexity. So some key points to remember are: avoid jargon and don't write in the third person. Write in a first person talk and present tense, You really don't need to use toffee nose hobnob words to sound artsy or to sound like something that you're not, because it sounds crap and it's really boring. Remember to write it so a class of Year 6 students could read it and understand it. And for the last step, step 3, get a second opinion. When you think you have something that you're happy with, road test it. Before you sign your name to your artist statement, so to speak, get another point of view by running it past some of your friends, family, or your art coach or your art colleagues. If they look a bit bewildered when they read it and they don't make the connection with your artist statement and your artwork, then maybe consider rewriting your statement. Now remember, it has to have your you stamp on it. It can never sound like something another artist could get away with using. Does that make sense? The idea is that you want them to be able to appreciate the message as much as you appreciate it. And just remember to be authentic, honest, and specific. Do that and you'll eventually document your world as an artist into groovy words that everybody will understand and appreciate. And I really do hope that helps. Now, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your artist friends. And if you've not done so already, please subscribe to my channel. That way you'll be notified each time I release a new video. It also gives me a tickle of motivation to keep providing you with more valuable content. And thanks so much for watching. And I really look forward to connecting with you again real soon and helping you to advance your career as an artist. Till next time, your art buddy, Carl.